Hi, it's Justina here from Flight of the Phoenix Holistic Therapy. Welcome to Holistic Healing Conversations, where we explore different ways and modalities to heal trauma, to reconnect you with your body, and to regulate your nervous system. Healing is a journey, it's a process. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. That is why I created this podcast to introduce amazing professionals with their unique tools and perspectives to help you find what works for you. It is my hope that together we will uncover ways to support your healing journey and your emotional well-being. Hi, today I'm joined by Nell, founder of Soul Agenda Yoga and Pilates. Nell has over a decade of experience in yoga, meditation, breath work, mindful movement, and so much more. But her journey didn't start as a teacher. It began during time of overwhelm when she was still working as an international engineer traveling Europe, and yoga became her way back to balance. Over time, that personal practice became a way of life, shaped by breath work, gratitude practice, healing, and lived experience. Soul Agenda is not just a studio, it's a community space, Nell built from the heart, grounded in connection, care, and presence. I'm really looking forward to this conversation and hearing more of her story. Hi, Nell, how are you?
Hi, Justina. I have
right?
been better before. I
Yeah.
have a dislocated patella, but other than that, I'm feeling all right. Thank you.
But you can't teach.
I teach verbally a few classes, but I try to reduce as much as I can.
Well, I'm really sorry that it's happening. But anyway, you have plenty of good teachers here, and
Thank you.
that's what I really want to talk about. So, Nell, you're a founder and creator of this beautiful space, Soul Agenda Yoga and Pilates in Balmain.
I'm not the founder.
But you have created it.
Yeah.
Kind of. You brought this new community that is here, right?
Yeah,
You
thank you.
A huge variety of classes.
Yeah.
Everybody can find something here.
Thank you.
I personally experience many of your classes. So, you know, the sound healing journey with you. I love the art therapy, which is part of my practice on Monday, 9:30 a.m. with Nagin. I've done sound healing with Tida, the workshops, as well as slow flow with Mark. So, you know, there is huge assortment, if that's the right word, of classes here and offerings. And I love the community here. I
Me
love what you
too.
created. I'm also had the privilege of running my workshops here, for which I'm very grateful.
And
Thank
we
you for
are.
that.
Thank you.
And now I'm curious about Nell. Who's Nell and what kind of led you to this path? And ultimately, what created this space?
What created the space? So in a physical way, first of all, Jolene and Chris have been the founder of Soul Agenda. And they moved to the Gold Coast, I think a year after they have been creating the space. We opened in a really weird time around when COVID hit. And I started teaching here from day one. And then a year later, I think, or so, I became the manager of the studio, or a year and a half. I can't quite remember.
Oh.
Yeah. And then another year later or so, I then was offered the business, and I'd had a little think about it for a little while, and then I took the opportunity. Still very grateful to Jolene and Chris for putting the effort and, you know, just being so brave to create a space like this in such a beautiful way, and credits to the interior designer here as well. I always get like compliments for it. I'm like, I can't take it. It's just like, but of course, you know, the little touches are from me.
Yes.
And I think what created the space altogether, of course, there's a physical thing that creates the space, but in a lot of ways, it's an energetic thing that creates the space. And everybody who's coming through the doors is bringing the energy with them. And because now Soul Agenda will turn 6 years in June, I feel like it gets even richer, even more energy in the space, even more purity in the space itself, because it has been practiced in for a while for so many students with the same intention. It's sort of like this magnet for this, you know, divine energy, how I call it. And I feel what Soul Agenda makes Soul Agenda as well is that we have this diversity of classes where everybody can feel welcome. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel there's all ages, all levels, all injuries, including my own.
Yeah, there is space here for you.
There's space here. did not happen in yoga, by the way.
Yeah.
But there's always a way to practice yoga. It does not always need to be asana, a yoga posture, but it can be in so many different ways of mindfulness practices even just. And all ages are welcome, all injuries are welcome. And I think just as to make it so inclusive makes it very special, because I think there's barely space for all ages, all levels, and everyone. And this is what I really wanted when I took on the space and the business itself, that I make sure that everybody is welcome, even from young age to really old age. So we're doing prenatal and postnatal yoga, and we're doing all the different variations of things, so everybody has always something to practice with. We're trying to also keep it so inclusive that we have the ranges of things we offer, and some are donation-based, and we are doing charity events, and we are doing our monthly donation-based kirtan, which always brings great vibration in the space. I always can feel the vibration after. It's lots of things that make Soul Agenda, most of all the energy of the people who come through the door and practice.
So I see you spoke a lot about Soul Agenda and people, but who's Nell?
Sorry, I missed that question. That's true, there were a couple of questions in that one. Nell, I think how I perceive myself is, I guess, I've been growing more from a person who has been more in a material world, in a very success-driven world, and I merged myself into this world of a more holistic Nell and a more connected Nell, and a Nell that is seeing the world with a little more different eyes and with a bit of distance to what I used to do before I practiced and taught yoga. Where should we start, and where do you want to end?
I guess, were there any inspiring events or practices that kind of led you to where you are right now?
Sure. Inspiring events. I think, I have been influenced a lot with people who have been surrounding me already since I was a child. So I grew up with a Reiki teacher who was always part of our family as the closest family friend. And this Reiki teacher had impact on all of us, of course. My mother is a spiritual person, but she never really followed the path, and got caught up more in the day-to-day living and life, like most people would. Sometimes out of choice, sometimes not of choice, just of survival, I guess, as well. And just influenced by all people who I came across until this point in time, really, through more positive or negative, if you can even call it this way, experiences. And I think sometimes it's even the worst experience that is leading us into the right direction for us, what's meant for us. In regards of practices, I think I have been starting yogic practices in a different way when I was a child, with breathwork. And mindfulness and
was it your
gratitude.
Dad?
My dad does. My dad taught me always breathwork, which is like an interesting thing as a child. I'm like, what's that good for?
I did ask that question before.
I did. So many things I've been like considering later down the track that these are just yogic practices, but until this point in time, my dad might not know what impact it had on me. I think he just learned it as well in a way, and then passed it just on. And there's just some things you don't question because you just do them as a habit or routine as well. And then I started my yogic practice more in the mid-20s, and I was an engineer back then, and I was in a really stressful time of my life, building my own house, and going through a lot of challenges in my life myself. And I was just so stressed that I needed to find, like most people come to yoga, a way of trying to find more balance and a little bit more calm moments in my daily life. I practiced yoga actually the first time, and I didn't go back for the years because I was like, that was ridiculous, that class. But I also have to say it was a gym yoga class. There are great gym yoga classes these days out there, but I think back then, and also in Germany, might have not been as well known as in Australia, I have to say. And then a few years later, when I was in this challenging time, I tried again the yogic practice because I was inspired of a magazine I was reading from my camping trip when I came back. And I'm like, this woman seemed to be so inspiring, and I was really wanting to have the experiences she was describing. So I was like, oh, I give this yoga another go.
Yeah, this yoga.
This yoga, I give another go. And then, I just practiced a couple of times, and even in the first few practices, I noticed that there is something more deep to this practice. Yeah, and in one of those practices, I was just laying in Shavasana, and I told this story a lot of times before, and I got just this download that I'm a yoga teacher, and it was like a mother would say to you, you go to bed now, or your name is Justina.
Yeah.
And then I got like, you are a yoga teacher. I'm like, me? Not that person who practices since 20 years. It was just like I got told I am, and this is what I became. At first I thought I'd just do this on the side, and then I decided to do this full time because I could not see myself going through daily life being so overwhelmed with, the sensory input and the workload and the stresses of the daily life, especially me as an engineer back then. I could not imagine having still enough in my basket to hold space for others. Yeah. And so I went on this big hike, that Camino de Santiago we talked about before, and in this walk, then I decided, oh no, you need to really do this full time, because I'm also like a bit of a perfectionist. I'm like, okay, if I really want to do it, then I do it all or nothing, and this is what I did. And in the beginning, of course, it was challenging. Like when all yoga teachers start in the beginning, it's like hard to believe that you can make a living out of it, and you know it for yourself. You have been a yoga teacher yourself before.
I've been oscillating in between the worlds, because it is tough. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, life in Australia is so expensive. How can I even make a living? And this will never work. How many classes do I need to teach to make this work? And I've been just really working for not much or nothing, really, to get more experiences, did more trainings, diversified myself, because I have a lot of different interests, and I think also there's never a one-way street.
No.
I like the diversity. I'm the numerology number 5, so I like change and different ways. And I think just through my persistence and my will to really make this work, and then the universe was sort of giving me the reward of like, you've got this opportunity here, now you get this opportunity there, let's see what you do with that. And I also feel like I always felt grateful for every single class, for every single student, for everything I did. I was thinking every single thing what I did was a success, because even if it didn't seem to be like this in other people's eyes, I always thought how blessed I am. And I think this gratitude gave me the opportunities, because I have a hard time to believe that the universe would put out opportunities if you're not grateful for it. And then I don't even, now looking back, I can't even believe how I made it here. Like, it's sort of like this, this story that you are like, oh, I wish I would have a yoga studio, or I wish I could be able to share, my offerings with
and
people.
You are.
Yeah,
and what have
so
you
beautiful.
kind of learned through this process? Well, not just through the journey towards building this community and this space, but also being a business owner. What have you learned about yourself?
I mean, I always think the more you learn, the more you realize you know nothing.
Yeah.
That's just like in the yogic practice or in our daily lives. I think like the more reflective you are as a person, and the more teachings you are taking on, the more you realize how little you really know. And I think I'm always a little bit naive, and I have a lot of confidence in myself as well, and also the trust in life altogether. That the universe will hold my back. I sort of never doubted this, and I think
amazing attitude. I'm like, damn.
That made it. I don't know. It felt like sort of natural, but I think as well, I got supported in this way so much that I could not deny that the help is there for me, guiding my path, leading my spiritual path as well, my physical path, and I sort of devoted myself to it.
Yeah, you really connected, intuitive, to the kind of source, and you know what's right. And
I'm really grateful for all the spirits who have been guiding me in the ways and gave me undeniable signs as well. Because sometimes you get a sign, you're like, maybe. I question that. I try to rationalize it. But then there are such undeniable ones. You're like, nah, there's nothing to believe. It's this is how it is.
Definitely.
And I was fortunate to get those signs and maybe even having my eyes open for them to guide my path, which was, in a way, very lucky and fortunate.
Tell me, what do people don't see or know about you from outside as a business owner? Because, you know, we all have perception, our own perception of things. Like,
what's your perception?
well, I think you're very successful. I think you're doing great. You're amazing. You're always creating opportunities. They come to you, the opportunities. You're open to it always. You're curious. You said you're naive. You're not naive. You're curious. That's child innocence, yes. But this is how we learn, like how we discover the world. So that's how I see it, right? It's not immature energy. It's a curious and kind of energy that follows instincts. And, you know, you're running to like create partnerships with other studios or other places like Nature's Energy, you know, and it's just constant pursuit. So there's like loads of energy around you, like you never seem to be tired, which, you know, for me, I'm always depleted, burned out, you know, because I give, you know, and I run and chase, and I know this is not good for me, but you don't look like you're doing that. It just comes naturally. So that's how I see you.
Oh, that's a beautiful way of seeing me. Thank you. But that says a lot about you, you know?
Is it?
Because when you see this in other people, that means, you know, you can see it in yourself, right?
Totally. You recognize yourself
You recognize yourself in others. So I think the practices itself give you enough energy. You just should never stop practicing. I think a lot of the time what maybe studio owners do, what I maybe don't do, is I never stop practicing for myself and being a student in class as well, practicing here, practicing all my different ways, and, you know, keep my meditation up, my mindfulness up, living what I actually do. And I think what is depleting for a lot of people in this world is that they are not in alignment with what they think and they say and they do, right? And living the life I'm living now gives me the opportunity to think and to say and to do what I actually mean with my authentic being, and what I think what is in connection with my higher self as well, right? And in a lot of work environments that is just not working out.
No.
And this is, I think, depleting and draining, because you always need to use all this energy to have this non-authentic way of living. And you need to think, what should I say? And then you say, and then what should I do? But if there's all in one alignment, you don't need to think about it. So I can go on the street, be the same Nell like I am in class or at home or on the street, and I never need to pretend anything. And this is giving me so much energy, because I save all of this energy for other things.
There is a lot of wisdom in what you said. Like, we all, well, not we all, you just proved we not all, wearing masks or perform, because we have certain roles to fulfill, and not everybody is as connected. And it's a beautiful thing that you are, because it takes, for some of us like me, it took years to discover, oh shit, I'm wearing mask for this and that.
I might still wear some I'm not aware of, right? I might say that now, and I have no idea which other masks I'm wearing. I probably still wear masks. I'm just trying not to. We can all just trying our best, right?
We do with what we know at the time, and it's perfect. And I guess you already touched on it, but how would your practice look like to ground yourself on a daily basis? Like, what would you do if you could?
I mean, I guess for me, I feel like a lot of time people think, oh my God, I need to sit down and meditate for 1 hour, and I need to take this time, and I don't have this time. And what else and what else? And I think the simplicity and the mindfulness and integrating it into your daily life is the key itself. So I don't know, for me, it's just like I would wake up and I would be aware of my body. I would be aware of my breath. I would do some conscious breathing. I would do some short meditation, nothing like an hour, like a short meditation. You asked me before, how do you set your boundaries? And you always seem to be energetic. I learned to set my boundaries not too long ago, right? I'm talking about a couple of years. And I think what helped me a lot is the Reiki practice. So I did
you becoming practitioner in Reiki as well?
I'm level 3, so I'm it's called a Reiki master. There's more levels to it though. And I do Reiki on myself, and I studied Reiki just protect myself to start with, because I'm such an empath. I always feel the room and other people as well. So I'm like, I need to make sure I'm not feeling everyone, because that can be draining too, right? Especially when you're an empath. And because we are all one and all sharing this one energy, I think it's hard to disconnect yourself, because this is in opposite to the yogic practice as well, because we are one, and yog means union, like, you know, yoga, right? Is being one. And then, oh, I don't like your energy, so I disconnect myself from yours. It's like, you know, it's just like a bit hard. So I do then a bit of Reiki on myself. I always try to do slow mornings. I never do rushed mornings.
How does that work with, because you have a son?
I have a son,
right?
yeah.
So how does that work for all the moms out there?
Look, I feel like the kids really copy our nervous system.
Yeah.
So my son became, over time, and I witnessed this more and more, like he became really like me. Like I mean, and I see the beautiful things in him, and I'm like, oh, I have those beautiful things in me. I'm like, I just see how he copies me, and I see myself in him. And I really like myself, and I really like the way he is. So I think that works really good out for us. So he's just having slow mornings too. He comes to my bed when he wakes up, and then we have a snuggle. We have reading time together. So I read my yogic books, and he reads his, like, whatever he wants to read. But he's always curious as well what I'm reading. So I, you know, get the little crumbs out to plant some seeds too if he wants to. But he's getting more and more interested in those things. He's asking questions and takes things like, you know, energy centers or mindfulness or spirits, and all of this he takes us for, like, as a normal thing, manifestation. He thinks that's a complete normal thing.
I think for children it is, if they would be exposed to it, but we weren't. I mean, I wasn't when I was growing up.
I was in a certain degree, I think. And Vinny is a lot, because that's just the way he grew up as well, or like how he is still growing up. He's 7. And then, you know, we have our reading time together. We're doing, you know, sitting down, chatting on breakfast table sort of situation. I bring him to school, and I go to my studio, and I do the practices here with the students, just to this degree that, of course, I'm the teacher and I'm not receiving the practice, but you know, when everybody's in stillness, I'm in stillness. When people meditate, I meditate. Because the thing is, it would be actually disturbing for the space itself if I wouldn't, because, you know, there is this, it feels like a little bit like a fly in the room if somebody's not with it. You can sense it, right? So when we are all having the same intention, I think it's more powerful altogether. So I always have the opportunity during the day to do the practices, and then when I can and in between, I do the practices myself. So for example, let's say Monday morning, I would never take on appointments Monday morning. Nobody would see me Monday morning, because I do my own practice for 90 minutes. There will not be a week when I would not do this, except if I would be like so sick I couldn't do it. Like,
you're very strict of your time.
100%. So taking and getting the time for yourself, for your practice is priority. Everything else comes second for me. My son comes first though.
Of course.
And then so having the times for the self practices, and then in the evenings as well, just having time to disconnect and doing meditation at home. And also, for example, last night I did an online meditation with the Prana World Australia. I really like the Prana World Australia. And you know, you give blessings for the planet, the earth, and yourself, and you heal yourself, and you're trying to heal the planet. So you have this feeling as well, you are part of a group that has the same intention, that elevates you, and it makes you joyful and happy too. And if it's not that, it can be like just simply sitting down for 10 minutes watching your incense burn, right? And Vinny knows those things. He thinks it's normal thing to do.
It totally is.
Doing my little yin practice at night, just, you know, the simple things, putting your legs up, having mindful moments in the afternoon, or like on a Sunday, just laying in the grass and looking at the sky and watch the clouds. And and Vinny really would not disturb any of this as a child, because he is just joining. And if he doesn't want to do it for the extended amount of time, he would just like tap in and out.
Other question came to me, and it's completely off the script.
Yeah.
How, because with children, most of us weren't taught how to regulate our emotions, right? When we were growing up, how is he regulating his emotions?
I mean, look, he's still a child, and he's 7 years old, and he still has his things that he is getting overly upset about if something goes wrong. If he puts.
What do you do then?
The thing is, he puts his muesli in his thing, and then you all know it. This the whole thing glues together, and the whole thing lands on the floor.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be an upset time, and then at first we're trying. What I try to do is put it for him into perspective. That means there's a level from 0 to 100. He's very numbers-based child.
Yeah.
0 to 100, and 1 is a spoon falls down, and 100 is the house burns down.
Yeah.
Right? Where is it on that scale? Right? It's probably more like a 5, but feels like a 50.
Yeah.
In this moment, it feels like a 50, but if you zoom out, it's more like a 5.
Yeah.
And I think this is something to learn for all of us, all together in life, because in the end of the day, when we all zoom out and see our life, and they're like, oh, when I was 31 and I had this one moment that day, and I was thinking about it for 3 years, was it worth it?
No, it wasn't.
No, probably not.
But that's beautiful. Yeah, I was just curious, because
So zooming that out, I allow him to think, to put it into perspective and put it on that scale. And then I'm like, is it something you can change or you can't change? Is it something you can fix or you can't fix? Can you pick up those muesli?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. What's a skillful way of picking that up? Yeah. And a lot of the time, of course, he has still a hard time of catching himself, of not being frustrated about it. And then we go out and breathe. And then we do a Reiki shower.
Yeah.
So we put a little bit of essential oil on our wrist, and that's completely normal in my house to do. So you rub it together and do a Reiki shower for yourself.
Yeah.
And you ask your spirits just to cleanse your energy. And then you sort of chuck it.
Leave it of his childhood.
Leave it outside.
Yeah.
And then if it's still not gone, I allow him to release some energy in a different way. So it might be like a lion's breath, or he might just have some cushions he's throwing in the backyard. And if I'm honest with you, it happens once in 2 weeks or 4 weeks. I don't know. He's a very calm child, I would say. But he still gets frustrated over things as much as probably his character is.
But you're teaching him tools that he's gonna use for life. It's just,
I hope so.
Whenever he gets angry, he will know how to reduce that.
But also not putting the anger down. I think allowing that this is a valid feeling too. Yeah, I allow myself this is anger, but what am I doing with that energy now?
Yeah. Oh, I love it now. But let's come back to you.
Oh, yeah.
So,
sure.
Hardest time, if you can recall, around creating this space, what was the hardest moments?
There were a few
that you had to face, and kind of how maybe you dealt with it, if you're happy to share.
So I'm not sure if it's appropriate to share this or not, but the studio was not doing well when I took it on, very not well, and it would be closed by now, of course. Really, I mean, it was hard times when it was opened, and then there was COVID, and all of this was really challenging, and I think just in the back of my head, I sort of felt I knew what to do to change it, to make it work. And I was still a little scared if it does. But again, there I was guided, protected, and the studio was put into the right direction, of course, with my guidance, but also, all the teachers who put always their very best into every class. We are so fortunate with our teachers. I always feel and especially right in this point in time, we have such a beautiful team of teachers again, which is just, everybody brings something different to the table. I don't know if you agree. And it's just incredible, I think. And every time I take a class, I'm like, do students know how fortunate they are? I'm like, this is insane. This is incredible.
Yeah, I think they do. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Because it's so awesome.
It's just, and I try not to guide, you need to teach a mellow class this way, or I need to teach a sound class this way. You teach it how it's authentic to you within the description, because then it's the way you teach your best class though too.
Yeah.
Trying to have less formalities, and that's what you do and don't do. More this is the description, move in that range, and that range is big. So challenges to overcome. Sorry, I was driving in a different direction now. So first of all, I was scared. Fear fear. And out of fear, we are not making, always good choices, or we are not acting always kindly to ourselves. Like fear is one of those things, trying to, release fear, worry, all those things. And when you say, I have so much energy, right? I mean, thankfully, I have so much energy to start with, because fear and worry took a lot away in the beginning of the studio. And then, of course, I think for me, the most challenging thing after, when I saw we are protected, the universe wants us to thrive and wants to grow, and this studio to exist as a hub of like this, of spiritual development and so on. I'm like, okay, then I gained the trust in this studio as well, that this needs how it's need to be and how it's meant to be. But then I feel the challenges that I overcame then are more like personal challenges of like, there might, be students, or there might be teachers, or there might be other encounters or neighbors. And I think from all those people then who come into the space, it's a very, very small percentage. But those percentages, and we all know this from our daily life, are challenging us the most. And this is occupying our minds. And when we're taking things personal as well, this is when it starts to be really tricky. But what I learned over the time is that, as you probably know, never anything is personal. No. Anything what a person says or does to you says something about themselves, right? And I think just being more aware of this, that never a person would do things to me because they have personally something. It's more something saying about themselves, gives me the right distance. And over time, I could distance myself from those, I say, personal attacks or, challenging encounters, those things.
Would you say you built resilience through it?
Yeah, resilience through it, and just have a different view
of things, different perspective. And I guess you from the beginning had a self-trust and self-belief, and you have that intuition, to follow yourself. But you're still human. You have your own fears, and
fear is one of the things I think I always will need to work on. Fear and worry. It's one of the things, because
survival,
I feel, but I feel also responsible, right? So I feel responsible for the space. I feel responsible for the mom of the house, it's existing. And I feel that it's just such a safe place for so many people. Meanwhile, over all those years, that I think I just need to make sure that it exists and that it's a safe space. Energetically, physically, all things.
Definitely. And for people who are thinking of starting, being yoga student or teacher, or create a business, or even for me, I'm trying to build therapy business, so any heartfelt business or led business even, what would you tell them? What would be the advice? What do they need to understand before they even start?
I think listen first. To yourself, to your higher self, try to get the answers you need, to have the trust to start with, to know that you have the backup of your spirits, of the universe, and that's the right thing for you to do. Allow yourself to fail. Don't see failure as a mistake or something that went wrong. Seeing failure as an opportunity for growth. Because people who never fail never win.
That's true. You have to take risks to learn.
And then I feel a lot of people don't start altogether because of all this worry that it will not work out. And then when we start to actually allow ourselves that we are allowed to fail, then it makes so much easier to start. Because it doesn't matter if you fail or if you succeed. If it's not this way, then it might be a different way, but you learn something on that way. But I feel like for me it was a lot easier because I got told. So I think always do something really calm for an extended amount of time to really tap in and listen deeply. Is this from my deepest knowledge of my inner knowing, is this the right thing to do? And then sometimes we get the answers we were maybe not expected, and trust them. And I think if this is what you were meant to do, then it will be successful no matter what. And if you do something you really love, it will be successful. You can love just like, I don't know, like like the weirdest things. Like there is nothing that you can not do for a living.
Yeah.
When you think about it, right? Is there something you cannot do for a living?
No, you can learn anything.
You can do anything for a living. Even if I love to draw a mandala, I can do the most amazing mandalas and put that here onto the windows. Like whatever it is, right? It can be so many different things and things to use. And if you really love it, people will love it. Because you share the love and they will see your love and they get inspired by your love.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well said. Final words. Any final words? Like either of wisdom. You can also share any upcoming workshops, retreats, or anything happening. I'm gonna probably be posting this in next week. So whatever is relevant to that timeline.
I just think if somebody wants to start something or do something, what can you really lose? Be okay with what you can really lose and give it your best shot. I always try to think about my life as, because that's not the first thing I tried, or like from outside that is a crazy thing to start, to come from an engineer to go to a different country and a different language and make a yoga studio and do something completely different and waste all your studies for 8 years. But the thing is, I feel you can always sit on that field of life on the sideline and be a spectator, or you can play and just choose what you want to be. If you want to be the spectator, that's okay, but it's not living fully, I think. Being in the game, giving it a go, and allow yourself to fail. And while you do that, just breathe deep.
Exactly. Do some yoga.
That's
awesome. Any retreats that you want to announce?
We have still 3 spots. We are going to Bali with Mark.
When is that happening?
It's happening in May.
Yep.
The 11th to the 16th. We go to Ubud, and we just make a small group of people. So it's 10 students, 2 teachers, and we have 3 spots to go. And there's a family retreat in April coming up. We have 1 spot. It was sold out, but we have 1 spot because we could get hold of another room in the retreat. So we have 1 room left for a family to join us from the 6th to the 8th of April in Maji.
And any workshops that...
Workshops, yeah. I teach on Saturday, yin and pin. But if it goes out next week, then we have Bruna's master class as a glow flow. And then we have our monthly kirtan again the week after. And we have almost every weekend something going on. Check out the soul events, soul workshops, and our classes.
Yeah, of course I will share everything in the description box
below.
Thank
you. So kind of
all shared. And thank you so much, Nell. This was really amazing.
Thank you for your time as well to ask me all the questions. I feel really honored to be in your podcast.
It's kind of a little bit for me now as well, because it's like I'm learning a lot from those conversations, and I really appreciate it.
And I learn from you.
Yeah.
And your questions. Thank you as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justina.
Thank you so much for listening or watching. It is my hope that this conversation gave you some insights, maybe new perspective, or at least sparked your curiosity. Remember, there is no single path to healing. Take what resonates and leave the rest. If you want to know more about me or any of my guests, you will find all the details in the description below. Together, we're creating space to heal, grow, thrive, and inspire.